Nobody expected Michael Jordan to say it out loud, but in one sentence, "After me, Kobe was the greatest ever." He didn't just praise Kobe Bryant. He detonated the entire Kobe versus LeBron debate and sent NBA culture into panic mode. This wasn't a casual compliment from a legend being polite. It was a coded message only the real basketball insiders caught. MJ wasn't talking about rings, stats, or highlight reels. He was talking about something far deeper: the mentality, the obsession, and the fear factor that only one player ever matched. And that raises the question nobody can ignore: why now? Why would the greatest of all time publicly place Kobe ahead of LeBron at this point in NBA history, fully knowing the backlash it would spark? But the real story begins long before MJ's statement. Before the debates, before the documentaries, before social media turned every highlight into a lightning rod, there was one thing that separated Kobe Bryant from everyone else: an obsession so intense it made even the greatest players uncomfortable. Kobe wasn't just watching film or studying tendencies. He was calling Michael Jordan at 3 in the morning, asking him how to counter a double team or how to set up the footwork for a move he'd already mastered. And what made it wild wasn't the hour. It was the fact that Kobe was already a full-blown superstar when he did it. Most players study their mentors early in their careers. Kobe studied his mentor while actively trying to destroy him on the court. That's the paradox. MJ loved the mentor-opponent dynamic. Kobe wasn't looking for approval. He wanted knowledge he could weaponize against the very man teaching it to him. It wasn't personal. It was his nature. He sharpened every detail, every counter, every fake until the line between learning and hunting blurred. And that's why legends feared him. You can't game plan against someone who wakes up thinking about ways to dismantle you. Stats measure production. They don't measure obsession. They don't measure the hours no camera ever saw. They don't track how many times he rewound a clip until the move became muscle memory. Opponents felt it in real time. They could sense it in the way he read them, reacted before they moved, and played with a seriousness that never dipped, not in preseason, not in blowouts, not in year 18. Kobe wasn't preparing to compete with players. He was preparing to eclipse them. But obsession alone doesn't explain why MJ chose Kobe. To understand why Kobe stood apart, you have to understand the world he walked into. The early 2000s weren't just tougher, they were a different sport. Hand-checking was legal, which meant defenders could steer you with their forearms, grab your jersey, shove you off rhythm, and get away with it. Fouls were earned through pain, not whistles. Superstars didn't receive automatic protection. They absorbed hits and kept playing because there was no other option. And every night, Kobe faced defenders built to break scores. Gary Payton trash-talked you into mistakes. Scottie Pippen suffocated your space. Bruce Bowen treated the perimeter like a battlefield. These weren't matchups, they were full-body collisions disguised as defense. And Kobe didn't just survive that era, he thrived in it. He logged 40-plus minutes on back-to-back nights, even deep in playoff runs. There was no precautionary rest, no sports science team calculating his workload, no sleep monitoring data. You played because you were the franchise. You played because your team needed you. You played because anything less was weakness. Kobe embraced that. He didn't sit out to maximize longevity. He played through sprains, dislocations, fractures, the kinds of injuries modern stars wouldn't even warm up with. Now compare that to the environment LeBron inherited. Hand-checking gone. Flagrant fouls called for minor contact. Floor spacing widened by analytics. Three-point shooters in every corner. Defensive rules designed to open driving lanes. Load management normalized. Teams managing minutes like investments, stars protected like museum pieces, and the game itself structured to boost offense pace and highlight numbers. Kobe created greatness in a league that dared him to quit. LeBron produces in a league built to keep him fresh, and that's before you even look at Kobe's insane resume. Kobe Bryant didn't just score points, he unleashed storms that left the league stunned. His 81-point explosion against the Raptors wasn't some modern, pace-inflated stat line built on free throws and open threes. It was a masterpiece carved out of real defense, real physicality, and real pressure. Toronto threw every defender they had at him. Double teams, traps, switches, and none of it mattered. Kobe hit contested fadeaways, impossible turnarounds, and footwork-heavy mid-range shots that defenders couldn't solve even when they knew exactly what was coming. It didn't feel like a hot hand. It felt like a force of nature. Then there was the 62-point masterpiece against the Mavericks. Most scorers dream of dropping 60 in a game. Kobe did it in 3 quarters. And the wildest part, he outscored the entire Dallas team by himself before the fourth even started. Phil Jackson asked if he wanted to go for 70 or 80. Kobe sat down. The job was already done. But perhaps the most poetic of all was his final chapter, the 60-point farewell. 37 years old, broken down body, zero athletic advantage left. And yet, with the whole world watching, Kobe summoned one last scoring avalanche. The building shook every time he touched the ball, and he still delivered. Clutch jumper after clutch jumper. No spacing, no analytics, just pure will and footwork carrying him one last time. What ties all these nights together isn't the points, it's the method. Kobe didn't rely on rule changes, pace boosts, or inflated offensive systems. His buckets came from skill, precision, and mastery. He didn't need the game to favor him. He forced the game to bend, but numbers still only tell half the story. If you really want to know who the greatest players are, don't ask fans, analysts, or social media debates. Ask the guys who had to guard them, the ones who felt the pressure in real time. And when you listen to them, a pattern forms so clearly, it's impossible to ignore. Magic Johnson didn't hesitate when asked who came closest to Michael Jordan. He didn't mention LeBron. He didn't talk about versatility or longevity. He pointed straight at Kobe and said, "He's the closest thing we've ever seen to MJ." Coming from a man who played with Kareem, battled Bird, and watched generations evolve, that wasn't flattery. That was a statement of truth from someone who knows aura when he sees it. Shaq, the most dominant physical force of the modern era, took it even further. He called Kobe the greatest Laker ever, a franchise loaded with giants. But the part people don't talk about is the fear. Shaq openly admitted Kobe pushed him harder than anyone else in his career, and that sometimes he genuinely wondered what Kobe would become if nobody controlled his intensity. That's not normal respect. That's something closer to fear. Allen Iverson, a warrior who feared no one, said Kobe was the only player who made him rethink what he thought he knew about greatness. Dwyane Wade said Kobe operated on a different level mentally, not just better, but otherworldly. And Gilbert Arenas, one of the most creative and confident scorers ever, said guarding LeBron was manageable. But guarding Kobe was an impossible assignment because Kobe never took a possession off. He was relentless, in Arenas' own words. What terrified these legends wasn't Kobe's talent, though that was elite. It was his willpower, his refusal to crack, his drive to break opponents mentally before beating them physically. Meanwhile, LeBron's reputation was built on something very different. Kobe Bryant lived in a world that didn't exist for most modern stars. No curated Instagram feeds, no brand partnerships dictating his next move, no PR team micromanaging his public image. Kobe's life was basketball, not the business around it. He didn't invite cameras into his workouts. He didn't advertise his grind. He didn't chase headlines or trends. He trained in the dark, obsessed over film, and let only one thing speak for him: what he did on the court. His legacy wasn't shaped by marketing. It was shaped by suffering, repetition, and the willingness to sacrifice everything for the game. LeBron James took a different path. His career became intertwined with narrative optics and brand management. The decision wasn't just a basketball move, it was a made-for-TV event designed to maximize attention. When the Cavaliers owner called him a coward after the announcement, the backlash wasn't about leaving Cleveland. It was about the spectacle around it, and that pattern followed him for years. The China controversy. He publicly criticized Daryl Morey, then backpedaled. The Machia Bryant situation, he fired off a viral tweet, then deleted it to avoid heat. It wasn't about conviction, it was about control. Even before he reached the NBA, LeBron's image was being managed. The custom Hummer with TVs, the expensive throwback jerseys, the investigations into gifts high school players weren't allowed to accept. His camp always had a narrative ready, always a way to redirect attention and protect the rising brand of King James. Meanwhile, Kobe didn't build a brand. He built a standard. He didn't craft a narrative. He created a mentality the world still tries to imitate. That's why fans respected Kobe's work, and why players feared it. His obsession was real. LeBron's image was constructed. And when you put them head-to-head in clutch moments, some players talk about being clutch. Others deliver it in moments too big, too chaotic, and too pressure-filled for anyone else to survive. Kobe Bryant lived in those moments. In the 2003 playoffs against the Spurs, he dropped 36 points on a sprained ankle attacking elite defenders like nothing was wrong. In 2008 against the Nuggets, he buried a fadeaway with seconds remaining, dragging the Lakers into overtime and refusing to blink even when the entire building wanted him to fail. And in the 2010 Finals Game 7, the most pressure-filled environment in basketball, Kobe didn't rely on scoring alone. He grabbed 15 rebounds, played suffocating defense, and made every gritty play that championships demand. That wasn't luck. That wasn't hot shooting. That was clutch DNA distilled into effort. Then there are the injuries. The night in 2016 when Kobe dislocated his finger so badly it pointed the wrong way, most players would have walked off. Kobe calmly motioned for the trainer, had it snapped back into place, and checked himself right back into the game. No hesitation, no theatrics. Just an unspoken rule pain doesn't stop purpose. And nobody forgets the Achilles moment, one of the most devastating injuries in sports, the kind that ends seasons on the spot. Kobe felt it tear, hobbled to the free throw line, and knocked down both shots before walking himself off the court. He didn't need help. He didn't need drama. He needed to finish what he started. Now contrast all of that with LeBron's infamous leg cramp in the 2014 finals. A mild cramp, not a tear, not a fracture shut down his night. He was carried to the bench, iced and done. That moment became a symbol of something deeper. Kobe's toughness was wired into his identity, while LeBron's was conditional. Kobe endured, LeBron managed. And if you dive into the stats that actually matter, when the debate gets uncomfortable, LeBron fans always run to the same talking points, longevity totals, and all-around impact. But the moment you isolate the numbers that actually define greatness, the ones built on skill, pressure, and dominance, the entire argument flips upside down. Start with defense. Kobe made 12 all-defensive teams. 12. That means for over a decade, he was recognized as one of the most dangerous perimeter defenders alive. LeBron 5. And most of those came early in his career. Kobe didn't just score, he guarded the other team's best perimeter player nightly, even deep into playoff runs. Then look at scoring explosions. Kobe recorded 122 games with 40 or more points, while LeBron sits at 79 despite playing far longer. When you push it further, 50-point games, the gap becomes almost embarrassing. Kobe has 26 games of 50-plus. LeBron has 15. And remember, Kobe didn't have the advantage of 20-plus seasons load management or hand-picked super teams helping him preserve his body for scoring nights. He did this while battling injuries, absorbing contact from defenders who could actually touch him, and playing through an era where mid-range shots were not only allowed, they were necessary. The difference isn't just quantity, it's how they scored. Kobe's game was built on difficult shot-making, footwork angles, timing, and mechanics that took decades of refinement. LeBron's success is built on size-pace spacing and modern rules that open the lane like a runway. Kobe had to create everything. LeBron often bulldozed through it. That's why players feared Kobe's scoring more, not because he was bigger or faster, but because he could get a bucket no matter what the defense did. His game aged like a weapon that never dulled. LeBron's game ages like an engine that slowly loses horsepower. The numbers don't lie, but they're still not the real story. But the most important difference isn't on paper at all. When Michael Jordan speaks about greatness, he's not talking about championship counts or stat sheets. He's talking about mentality, the invisible traits that separate legends from everyone else. MJ has always valued suffering obsession and the kind of inner fire that doesn't dim when the cameras turn off. And that's why his praise for Kobe carried a weight that no trophy could match. Kobe didn't just copy Jordan's moves. He lived Jordan's worldview. He embraced pain as fuel-treated practice like war, and worked in silence long before anyone coined the term Mamba mentality. Every scar, every late-night workout, every destroyed set of sneakers was proof that he understood what MJ meant when he said greatness demands sacrifice. LeBron's legacy, meanwhile, was built differently. There's nothing wrong with narrative building, but it clashes with what MJ believes the game should be. LeBron optimized his image, curated his story, and managed each phase of his career like a brand. It's smart, it's strategic, but it's not what Jordan respects. MJ admires the player who disappears into the grind, not the one who navigates public perception. And that's why his words about Kobe weren't random. They were a declaration of alignment, a confirmation that Kobe lived by the same code Jordan guarded his entire life. When MJ said Kobe was the closest thing to him, he wasn't talking about style. He was talking about soul, about mentality, about the rare, unforgiving commitment that most players aren't willing to embrace. It's the hidden meaning behind his comment, the part casual fans miss, but every former player instantly understood. MJ wasn't picking sides in a debate. He was stating a truth only someone who climbed the mountain could recognize. And in doing so, he ended the argument more decisively than any stat ever could. And that leads to one uncomfortable question. At the end of the day, legacies aren't built on how long you played. They're built on fear, respect, and the dominance you imposed when the game demanded everything. That's why MJ's endorsement hits like a hammer. It comes from the one man whose standards define greatness. And the uncomfortable truth is, the player modern fans idolize may never match the man the legends genuinely feared. Kobe didn't just chase Jordan, he reached the places only Jordan understood. So here's the question, if the greatest ever chose Kobe, why are so many still afraid to accept it?